And we're back with Season 4, Episode 11, Pinkie Pride. Before anybody brings it up, yes, I know that there's some disagreement on which episode is which. No, I don't care. So, we're covering the episode Pinkie Pride today. I've decided as a way to kind of keep track, I'm going to go ahead and read this first. So, Pinkie's entry today. It's good to... I'm sorry, right, I'm supposed to give the summary first. This is the episode which has Weird Al Yankovic, which should probably give away which episode this is. But either way, it's Rainbow Dash's birth anniversary, and Pinkie Pie and Weird Al Yankovic have a goof-off, and they try to figure out who's going to do it, blah, 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 and then the episode... Okay, so now this thing. Pinkie Pie's entry, obviously. It's good to be proud of what you do. Like... I'm really proud of making every pony smile and laugh and planning the best parties ever. But when my pride got in the way of hearing Rainbow Dash laugh at her own birth anniversary, I knew it was time to retire the old party cannon. Because if it was a choice between forfeiting a competition to be the bestest party planner ever, or getting to hear my friend laugh again, I will choose hearing my friend laugh again, hooves down. Fortunately, I didn't have to choose. Together, Cheese Sandwich and I threw a totally epic party for Rainbow's 10th birth anniversary. I have never been more proud. P.S. Musical. No, really. Musical. You know what's funny, SA2K? Several of the characters have that same problem. Where it's really easy for them to be... They have the 1 HP thing, right? Like Rainbow Dash, she has the extremely fragile... the 1 HP pride ego thing. Pinkie Pie is the same way, which makes sense if you think about it. Yeah, I like that too, Weouts. Because of course Rainbow Dash can't just choose which one, because, I mean, it's Rainbow Dash. How would she be able to do that? If she likes one better than the other, she'd feel bad about messing up on the other, especially since one of them's her friend. Especially at this point when they've actually become friends, but I digress. So the episode starts... a lot of songs this week. A lot of songs. So any of you ever seen the Dollar Trilogy? It's a series of spaghetti westerns. Good films. Good films. I hear they have music. I don't know. The main character is called the Man with No Name. Now, Weird Al Yankovic's character, Cheese Sandwich, in this episode, his style, his visual style is that. He's dressed up just like... oh my god, I can't think of the actor's name. Just like the Man with No Name. This makes him a horse with no name. And he rides off into the desert. Anyways... Funnily enough, Weird Al Yankovic has actually done quite a bit of voice acting work in his career, and a decent amount of it has been for Hasbro. Oh, ha, Horian. And I mentioned that because that's actually part of why this episode happened, was because he was already on contract with Hasbro for the Transformers stuff he'd been doing. I actually have seen that episode. It's from Transformers Animated, which is a surprisingly good show. He played Wreck-Gar, if you happen to recognize the character. It was like a 2-off, 3-off kind of a character. Either way, seeing him here, I mean, he's playing Weird Al Yankovic. That's what this episode is. Yes, he's playing Cheese Sandwich, but look at him. Like, he's got the same style of hair and the same kind of approach to talking and dancing, and his thing is an accordion, and when he was younger he had his glasses, but now he doesn't, and it just... I mean, he's playing himself. He's playing the pony version of himself. But it is kind of an interesting thing, and he is a decent voice actor, and he's done some stuff. What's really interesting, though, is apparently... So, this was done by Amy Keating Rogers. And when they, because this was a team effort, were designing the songs, there were inspirations for each of the songs. And I decided to jot those down since I found the post talking about it. The most obvious one is the one right at the beginning, the one I caught immediately. Pinkie the Party Planner. Beauty and the Beast. Like, straight out of the intro. She's such a funny girl, that Belle, right? There must be more to this provincial town. That whole thing. Yeah, no, that's clearly based on that. Good stuff, good stuff. Although every time I've seen this episode and I see the one pony who just dumps buckets of paint into her satchel, I cringe a little bit. Like, I know that that's kind of the joke, but just imagine with all the other crap that's in there, and then you just dump a bunch of paint into her satchel, and it's like, whoa! And I don't even want to think about cleaning that thing up. Holy crap. One other thing I noticed during the intro thing, and I've started paying attention to this a little bit, in a lot of scenes there was a common ratio of 3 to 2 to 1. And I think that's being done on purpose. I mean, I would, if I was on the animation team. 3 Earth ponies, excuse me. Yeah, no, I'm saying that right. 3 Earth ponies, 2 Pegasi, 1 unicorn. That's the rough ratio. I think I misspoke. 3, 2, 1, or rather 50-50, but you get the idea. That's the rough ratio that seems to be shown when it comes to how many of any given pony is in background shots, just to make sure that that's, you know, that they're keeping that little idea. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose, but it's something I started showing. And yes, Diamond Tiara sang for the first time, not the last. Not the last time. So they have this good song. It's a good song. This episode has a lot of songs. If you don't like songs, you're not going to like this episode, obviously. The episode also made me laugh more than a few times. Of course it did. It's Weird Al Yankovic. I've liked him since I was young. But there were a few little other things that made me amused, like, party planning is no picnic. Ooh, I'd like a picnic. That got me. But he shows up. Cheese Sandwich shows up. He's all gruff. I'm going to be doing this. And this is the thing. I sensed this. I sensed that you sensed my sense. And then he wigs out and starts doing the super duper party pony song, which is based off of Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. For those of you who didn't catch that one, that was also pretty obvious in hindsight. It's also polka. Now, I just want to comment on this because I don't like polka music. But I like Weird Al. He's probably the only guy who can make polka music actually sound good. To me, anyways. So I mentioned visual puns. Remember that in the confines of the episode, he's here to show off to Pinkie, to be like, hey, look what an amazing party pony planner that I have become because you inspired me. And he gets carried away. Anyways, it makes sense that Rainbow would want the most epic party available, and as we had already pointed out, that she would have trouble actually picking people. But yeah, I actually have a continuity ding for the Pinkie promise. In fact, I have plenty of continuity dings for this episode. We'll get to that in just a second. But I like how Rainbow Dash doesn't really consider the consequence of her action, because that's very Rainbow Dash. She's just like, oh man, this is going to be so cool. I can't wait to have this new person give me this epic party. I'm looking forward to it. This is, yes, Bamber Boozler. This, yeah, again, Rainbow Dash has absolutely no social awareness. And this ties in with the idea that Pinkie Pie's defenses are low, that she has 1 HP, just like Rainbow does. Because the moment she's dismissed for this, it really hurts. At the same time, though, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Like, I admit, I'm kind of more with Pinkie early on than anyone else. They start to do the planning. Twilight actually comes over and is like, where the heck are you? Why aren't you helping? And Pinkie's too dour and too sad to actually do so. But you know how she hides her sadness? By giving a giant, extremely fake smile. Because, you know, that's what Pinkie always does when she's sad, is she smiles. We've talked about Pinkie and her issues before. And again, there's some specifics and variants and nuance going on here, but this is just another showcasing of it. The fact that she is always afraid of losing that thing that makes her happy. She's not unhappy. I firmly don't think that she's actually unhappy. I think she is happy. She's just also afraid of losing it. Thus, she exists in that weird sort of anxiety realm there, where it's like, no, everything's fine. I don't say, no, yep, everything's fine. What are you doing? I'm watering the drain. And Twilight just kind of slowly walks away without saying anything, because, I mean, why would she actually be a friend to her? Anyways, yeah, exactly, Esoteric, being so terrified of losing the thing that makes her happy. And that's what she feels is happening in this episode. Because what makes her happy? Sharing happiness. And now she can no longer do that, at least with Rainbow Dash. This, of course, is why this is kind of a flaw. This is a nice Aesop in its own right. Just because your friends don't want to do something with you once doesn't mean they don't want to do with it for you forever, right? Now, that may sound like stupid, but I've fallen victim to that one myself, and I'm sure plenty of you can admit to that as well. Where it's like, oh, you don't want me to come over and hang out. Okay, I guess I'll just be here and not bother you again. Right? So that is a good message to get across. Even if Rainbow actually wanted the others to, you know, not, even if she actually wanted Cheese Sandwich's birthday thing, doesn't mean that she doesn't want Pinkie Pie and her parties in her life anymore. But it's so easy to see Pinkie Pie's perspective there, because it hurts, especially in the moment. And they do the episode does a really good job of showcasing just how much this really hurts Pinkie. Now, I'm not letting Rainbow off on this one, because Rainbow Dash has no freaking social awareness, and she handles this terribly. But you could see both perspectives here. This also leads to... Well, this leads to Pinkie's Pride, hence the name of the episode. This is when I'm going to give 3 more continuity counters, as Loner just pointed out in chat, which puts us up to 83 total here. If I can find the right thing. There we go. Whoop. There we go. Because we see... Excuse me, we see a picture of the first episode. We see a picture of the wedding, and what was the other one? Oh yeah, and her very first party, which she actually mentioned in her first thing. Oh yeah, by the way, there was also Maud. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be, that's the very first time Maud has ever been shown on camera. So... Oh yeah, Appaloosa. You know what? You're right. Appaloosa gets a continuity counter too. You're absolutely right. There we go. So, and then she goes to her next song. What's her next song? Pinkie's Lament, which is based off of Don't Cry For Me, Argentina. Because, of course, it is. It's very well done. I give credit for most of the music in this episode. It's good stuff. But like I said, we see Maud, we see that, and she's like, I will fight back. Yeah, I don't actually have a lot to say, a lot to analyze, except that this episode is astonishingly well crafted. The visual gags are great. The lighting usage is excellent. The camera usage is amazing. The songs are good. The voice acting is good. There's a ton of detail in almost every scene, and almost every scene is different. There's not a lot of long, talky shots. There's not a lot of long, you know, cost-cutting kind of shots in animation. They have to do something different for almost every shot, especially for the montages and the songs. They threw a lot of money and time at this one, and you can tell. This is probably the most technically impressive episode I have ever seen of MLP right here. This is damn good. It's just, it's hard to really analyze that. You know. So yeah, Rainbow has to be the judge. And she's anxious and nervous about doing it. So we could take a lot of things out of that. That feels like an interpretive thing. Here's my interpretation. Rainbow doesn't want to be a judge. She doesn't want to have to deal with that, so she's just sitting there like, oh, good, I get to do this job I don't want to do. We've also seen a few times that Rainbow doesn't like judging others in general. Even though she herself likes competition, she doesn't want to pit people she cares about against people she cares about. This makes perfect sense. When you are loyal to 2 people equally, you don't really want to rate them against each other, do you? So then the big... conflict song. I don't know what to call it. That's actually called... did I not write down the name of it? The Goof-off. There we go. It's just called Goof-off. So then the Goof-off song starts. Before I get to that, Weouds has pointed out twice now that they play up Pinkie's problem of focusing on her own happiness. I'm not actually sure I agree with that. Believe it or not, if you want to clarify, Weouds, I'm more than happy to listen. However, obviously they do play up the idea that Pinkie Pie is far more self-focused than focused on her friend. That's the whole point of the episode. So I could kind of see that at high noon in 10 minutes. This is when they really start to pull what I mentally think of as South Park humor into things. The South Park humor, as I define it, is when no one's in on the joke. So if you don't understand what I mean by that, I'll just say what this episode does. Whoever wins will be the ultimate party planner and will be the headliner for her party. And whoever loses doesn't. And it just jumps to reaction shot. Everyone's like, oh my god, no! And they all treat it like it's some super duper serious thing. That's South Park humor right there. It's completely straight-faced portrayal of something absolutely ridiculous, as if it's some big serious thing. If you've seen South Park, you probably know why I call that South Park humor. We need to build a bridge to frickin' heaven in order to get the coupon codes from our dead friends so we can go get candy. Yeah, anyways. I mean, hell, the South Park game was exactly that. We will steal back the stick of truth. Car. Okay, we're good. So the goof-off happens. Oh, God, amazing animation during the goof-off. I cannot praise it enough. Of course, there's an official rulebook for it. And I was going to complain about that. I was going to be upset about the fact that there's an official rulebook. And I started thinking about that. Of course, there's an official rulebook for a goof-off. A, it's Twilight, but B, and more importantly, this is Equestria. You cannot actually tell me that they don't have goof-offs in Equestria. This also brings up another point, and forgive me for world building for a moment here, but how do I put this? I wonder... I don't know how to phrase this. At first I was wondering how exactly Cheese Sandwich pays for all the stuff he does for his parties. I'm not wondering that anymore. It actually makes perfect sense. If you actually think about Equestria and the nature of its economy and what its people value, someone who is a very good party planner would actually be in high demand. They would probably be amongst an economic elite, the kind who could basically charge whatever they want to in order to, sell their services to people. So that actually lines up pretty well. It'd be like a really good concert planner in real life, which is an actual thing, which is an actual job that makes a fairly large amount of money. So, in fact, we'll actually see a concert planner later on in MLP who also does pretty well for himself. Okay, Weads, I think I see what you're talking about. Sven Gallup. Yeah. Moving on. So the goof-off happens. Wonderful polka music, wonderful animation. The live-action Boneless was done by Jason Thiessen in a balloon, in his basement, with a balloon stuffed with rice attached to some string, and he just danced it in front of a curtain. And of course they have the crocodile thing, because of course they do. But yeah, then he sings Smile, which is yet another continuity counter here. What are we up to? We're up to 85 now, because that made me laugh more than anything else in the entire episode. And I hate to explain the joke, but forgive me for a second. I feel like I have to. So first he starts singing the Smile thing, and she's like, "That's my song." And his response is, "What do you mean? I have no idea what you're talking about." For those of you not aware, one of Weird Al's biggest shticks, and the thing he's probably most famous for, is making parody covers of other existing songs. Because, see, I'm fat, Shimona. That's his shtick. So, of course, him just basically borrowing her song and doing a different riff on it, and then be like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" That caught me. Moving on. As the episode starts to end, Pinkie does a whole section in Spanish. I wish I'd actually been able to understand it, but she's singing a little too quickly. "As I walk through the valley where I harvest my grain, I took a look at my wife and realized she's very plain. But that's just perfect for an Amish like me. I shun fancy things like electricity." I could probably do the whole song. Don't ask me to. Point is, Pinkie finally is like, okay. She finally realizes that she's upsetting Rainbow. And she has her flash, the sheen. And this, of course, just, yeah, after Dash literally gets crushed by the thing she pulls out, the giant pinata cake thing, hey, Joe Neutrino. And she calls it off. I lose. I walk off. I'm dead inside, blah, blah, blah. And this is when that other Aesop comes in. There's actually several Aesops in this episode. First and foremost is what I already mentioned. The second is what Weods is bringing up, the fact that she was so focused on her own take on things, her being the one to do so, that she allowed herself to push too far and not actually, you know, care about Rainbow Dash's happiness. That I just mentioned that in the journal, for God's sakes. The third Aesop is actually an interesting one. It's another one that I think a lot of people need to learn, legitimately. Just because you're not the best doesn't mean you have to stop. How many of you have ever been interested in something like as a hobby, or maybe even professionally, and you compare yourselves to other people who do that, who are way better at it than you, like the best at it, and then you think, ugh, and you get demotivated, and you're just like, God, why am I even bothering? I'm nowhere near that good. There's no point in even trying, right? It's another good and very relatable Aesop in this episode, in my opinion, because, yeah, I'll actually name something stupid. You're going to make fun of me for it. Speedrunning. I'm average at speedrunning. You know, there's a couple games I can speedrun pretty well, all things considered. But I'm still nowhere near the best, and that's what I tend to compare myself to. Now, the real reason I quit speedrunning is because I just don't have time, but I also have to admit, it was just this incredible, discouraging thing to look at the best, you know, the actual world record holders, and look at that and you're like, I'm nowhere near that. I can't even begin to do that. God, why am I even trying? Right? Yeah. Of course, I get told I suck at video games every day of my life, so that probably doesn't help, but point remaining. So, that's the third, fourth? I forget how many Aesops we're up to here. No, I can't say 2K. I can only beat Metroid, Super Metroid in an hour and 38. So she learns, you know, it's okay. I can still be part of this. You know, I can still be involved in this. I can still make someone laugh. This is also when she finds out that the reason that Cheese Sandwich started this whole adventure, this whole being a party planner, was for her and because of her. He was inspired by her. Also shows that he and Pinkie Pie are roughly the same age, which is relevant because this episode gives us a weird insight into the relative age of our ponies. I'm just going to go and say it, 35. Now, we've always known that they're supposed to be portrayed as adults, but not, you know, elderly. Like, that's been true since the beginning. But Rainbow has 21 candles on the cake, but they also mention, I forget the full layout, and I should probably just pull it up here. Give me a second. There we go. Of course, I don't have it here. Whatever. Point is, this is her... The general idea is that she moved here when she was 10 and has lived here for roughly 25 years, give or take, based on how many candles we see and how many candles are at the back, and a rough approximation of when she moved, and also a rough approximation of Weird Al's general age versus Pinkie, who is also roughly the same age as Rainbow, which gives us about a mid-30s range there, hence 35. I just thought I'd mention that because that sounds about right to me, honestly. That sounds like a good age range for the main six. Probably some a little younger and some a little older, but either way. Stupid analysis aside, this then leads to Make a Wish, It's Your Birthday, which is based off of Raise Your Glass, which is a song I've never heard, but I can recognize the style of it. This is Pinkie's arc episode. Probably one of the weaker story-wise, but a very, very good episode, in my opinion. As I've already said, there's a lot that they did really right with this one. But I think the thing that really makes this work when it comes to Pinkie's arc episode is Pinkie's whole thing is laughter, right? But the thing is, laughter has two elements to it, which both seem that like they should match perfectly. One is you can't fake laughter. I mean you can, but then it would be fake laughter. It wouldn't be laughter. You cannot fake real laughter. It's a weird sounding sentence, but there it is, right? That's important because it also means you can't force it. You can't just make someone laugh. You have to do something that genuinely inspires that laughter. And this, of course, ties up with her own overall arc and her focusing on herself, because as long as laughter is the kind of thing that should be shared. It should be part of the group. As Weouds is pointing out, this cannot just be about Pinkie. This has to be stretched out, you know. This has to be the kind of thing that actually makes multiple people laugh. You can't just do it. See, that's fake laughter, Mr. Ed. That's not real laughter. Sorry. You may be going ha ha ha, but what's happening is you're basically losing your mind as the chemicals are literally poisoning you. You're not laughing. Or at the very least, you're not having the element of laughter. So this kind of lines up, but it's also interesting that this is her episode. I guess they kind of had to go this route with her arc. Because what else do you do with an arc about laughter, right? The Joker's laughing about me being poisoned, and that's genuine laughter, but you know that's unrelated. So this is by Amy Keating Rogers. I think I already mentioned that. And I don't think I can give this a purple. Purple is really reserved for the absolute best. But I'm kind of inclined to give this one a red. I'm curious what you guys think. Like, again, there's not a lot of complexity here, but it is incredibly well produced and just very fun to watch. And it had some great songs, and it has Weird Al Yankovic, you know. And, as we odds point out, this is Pinkie moving more into the others thing than the focus on herself. Of course I do, Mr. Red. That way it's easy to... I mean, I use those colors for a reason. I've been using those colors for a while. It also... Spike also speaks in this episode. I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a red. I think this is a good choice for this one. Which is interesting. Amy Keating Rogers has a very interesting trend for me. There's a lot of green and there's a lot of yellow for her episodes. But then she also did Best Night Ever, Mystery on the Friendship Express, and Pinkie Pride. So it's kind of hard to judge her quality, because it's either not good or very good. Oh, geez, Dream Whisperer, that sounds terrible. Nobody will laugh. Nobody will laugh. Anyways, I'm going to chop off the local recording.